Not quite famous, not quite famous, not quite famous.
We're almost there.
Not quite famous,
We're almost there.
not quite famous.
But we're not quite famous.
Hello, you guys, and welcome to the very late episode 13 of the Not Quite Famous podcast. We took a little bit of a hiatus, you guys. I am terribly sorry about that. I know you guys were very happy because I had gotten pretty good about making this a weekly show, and I apologize. January has been insane. I think I told you guys a little bit about it last episode, episode 12. I had so many road dates in January and beginning of February. I was all over the place, and it was hard for me to sit and be able to actually edit these. I apologize, but this is a one-man show. I record, edit, organize, and release these all by my lonesome, so it's kind of nuts. It's kind of insane. But yeah, we're back. We're back in full force, and we are starting February with an amazing guest. Yeah. Our guest is the one and only hilarious and amazingly talented Laurie Kilmartin, you guys. Laurie Kilmartin sat down with me. I sat down with her at the Green Room at Cobb's Comedy Club in San Francisco. We recorded this back in November. I think it was the week of Thanksgiving. She was in town. She did Cobb's, and she was visiting her folks and all that. And I got to sit down with her. We talked about a lot of stuff. We ended up talking mostly about what it's like being a parent and a touring comedian, because I'm trying to figure all that stuff out still. So that was a big thing we talked about. We talked a lot about what it's like having children when you're going on the road all the time. We also talked a lot about growing up in the East Bay. We both went to high school in the same kind of area that I still live in the East Bay, in Walnut Creek, Concord area. Laurie grew up there, so we talked a lot about that. A lot of local geography we talk about, a lot of local references that any of my listeners in the East Bay area will get. But yeah, it was a pretty great episode, pretty great conversation, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I know that I did. Laurie is one of the funniest comics that is working hands down. She is great. Nobody can take these kind of raw ideas about life and parenting and the like, and just instantly find the humor in it in such a really intelligent and really truthful way. She's hilarious. You know, she's got an amazing resume. She was a writer on Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn. She was on Last Comic Standing. That's where a lot of you guys might know her from. She currently is a joke writer for CONAN, which I think is the funniest thing on late night right now. She's amazing. She's been doing comedy for a long time, and she's also one of the most respected comics, not just to come out of San Francisco, but in the scene in general. Laurie Kilmartin, nobody ever says a bad thing about her act, because nobody can watch her act and not respect it. That's what it comes down to. She's even a best-selling author now. Her book, Shitty Mom, which is hilarious. It's all this, like, it's her and a few other people. They did this great memoir about the realistic thoughts mothers have, and for that matter, fathers have. I agree with a lot of stuff in this book about their kids and how you deal with those facts and what the reality is. And even if you're a shitty parent, you can still be a good one where it counts. It was great. I strongly recommend you pick up her book. Her website is kilmartin.com. Please check her out. See her live. If you get the chance to see Laurie Kilmartin on stage live, do it. She is one of the best comics working. Like I said, I know I've said that repeatedly. We even, for lack of a better term, kind of buried the hatchet about a botched show we did together. Back in the very beginnings of my show in Walnut Creek at Massey's that I've been doing for almost 4 years now. That show, early on, I wanted to have Laurie Kilmartin headline it and close it out. It was before she kind of really popped in the last couple of years. And I had her come out, and it was such an awful night. Like, it was the night before Thanksgiving, and it was just full of townies that are locally in Walnut Creek, and it was just awful, and it was chaotic, and all the no-good-nicks that were at this show overpowered my audience that was there for the comedy show every Wednesday. Completely overpowered them. It was just awful. Every comic that was on stage was fighting that night to be heard, and Laurie, while she's doing her set as the headliner, some drunk who's like heckling her and giving her shit the whole time during her set ends up charging at the stage, and thankfully they grab the guy, calm him down, and yeah, it was awful. It was horrible, and this is before me and Laurie knew each other really at all, so I was so embarrassed. I just like put my head I just kind of pulled my suit jacket up over my head, just hunched away. I was so embarrassed. I think I even added some extra money onto her check just because I felt so bad, because like this is before like she knew me, we had no real rapport, and I had completely screwed the pooch, and that was the first impression I gave her. And I think I talk about it in the interview, is that I ended up just kissing her ass for the next few years since then, and it's nice to know that we're still cool and all that, because I was worried for a long time. I thought Laurie Kilmartin was just gonna like completely just like cold shoulder me after that, because it was an awful experience. It's an experience that I wouldn't wish on anybody, and I would have been just as upset as she should have been about that show. But no, Laurie is classy and a professional, and we only talked about it for a little while. But yeah, me and Laurie Kilmartin are we're cool, which I'm grateful for, because I was terrified that she was just going to be upset still, and just like I just in my mind's eye had imagined her telling all of show business about this awful show that she had done for me in Walnut Creek, and I'm just so grateful that is not the case, because I was a young neurotic comedian, and just I always expected the worst. I'm like, oh no, I pissed off a headliner, what's gonna happen to me, what'll become of me now? And then I realized, like, oh, it was just a crappy show, crappy circumstance, the same kind of crappy circumstance I run into on the road every now and then. At least she was just in town for the holiday, and it wasn't any skin off her ass, I guess. So yeah, it's good to know that was fine in retrospect later on. Oh man, can you guys hear that jingling in the background? Am I the only one hearing it? That is my cat Electra. She is wandering around in this room, and she is under the table that I'm recording on right now, because I'm not professional enough to remember to put the cat away, because I'm an artiste. January was insane, like I said before. January was also my birthday. My birthday was January 26th. That happened. I'm years old, and it's funny, like I realized I had an epiphany this year that I hadn't had a good birthday in about 5 years. Yeah, I hadn't had a good birthday in a long time, and I thought about that, and I realized how long it had been since I had what is a quote-unquote good birthday, and I realized that maybe my expectations for my birthday are too high. I don't know, maybe that's part of like realizing you're an adult, is realizing that that there are certain things that birthdays aren't that big a deal anymore. I don't know. I always thought birthdays were still a big deal. I think they're a bigger deal than certain random holidays throughout the year can be, but I don't know, I just realized that my birthday expectations might have been too high. I mean, I'm not saying I was expecting a piñata and a surprise party and all this bullshit, but my birthday was just kind of meh. And all my birthdays for the last 5 years or so have been kind of meh. And I guess I set a weird precedent. Me and my friends in college, we used to go all out on each other's birthdays. Like, it was just, we put so much effort into it. Do all kinds of stuff, and it was awesome. And now it's just kind of meh. I'm older. That's about it. I don't know. I'm older now. I mean, you're older. I mean, you're closer to death. My good friend is a Bay Area comedian and oldest living feature act on Earth, Larry Bubbles Brown, so eloquently sent me a message on my birthday, as he does every year. It says, "It's over." Because that's what Larry does, in classic Larry Brown style. But, you know, it was nice and mellow. It was my first time celebrating a birthday with the new baby. That was cool. Stacy went out of her way to do some cool stuff for me, God bless her. When I came home on my birthday from a show I had done that night, the entire house was done up with Batman and Avengers balloons and a Batman and Avengers birthday banner across one of the windows. It was sweet. It was nice. Some of the balloons are still hanging around because the kids like them. So it was kind of cool. It was sweet. It was nice. But I don't know. I just I don't know. Maybe I just feel kind of weird because not enough people gave a shit it was my birthday. Is that an immature thing, or is that a self-indulgent thing to think that people should give a shit that it's your birthday? I don't know. I used to at least get a lot of free drinks. That didn't happen this year. Yeah. Enough's enough on the birthday excitement, I guess. And right after my birthday is, of course, Stacy's birthday. Her birthday's on the 31st. So it goes my birthday on the 26th, her birthday on the 31st, and then after that is Valentine's Day on February 14th. What the fuck, man? How much stress do I get to be put under in that 2.5 week period? It's insane. Valentine's Day is coming up. Oh, that's a thing. I'm not good at Valentine's Day. I never have been. I've tried very hard to figure it out over the years with different girls, different relationships, all that stuff like that. I have no idea how to pull off Valentine's Day. I still, to this day, don't. This year, I actually am doing a show on Valentine's Day. I've done a few of those over the years. I'll be in Riverbank, California, in the Central Valley. If you're out there, I'll be at the Sports Lounge 108. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a cool show with a lot of comedians. Rick James, Mario Montez, a lot of really hilarious cats. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The show is going to be awesome. It'll be fun. I booked it because I'm a touring comedian and that's what I do. Led to some interesting conversations with Stacy about that show. The show is marketed in a weird way. It's one of those shows that's marketed specifically as a Valentine's Day romantic-y show. I don't know if you guys are familiar with my act. You probably are if you listen to the podcast. My act does not scream romance, oddly enough. Neither does the headliner, Alfred Rubles. Hilarious comic. He was on Stand Up Revolution on Comedy Central and on Stars and a ton of other stuff. Hilarious comic, but my act, his act, Rick James's act, and Mario Montez's act, none of our acts really scream romance. It's called the Latin Lovers Show, which is hilarious to me because I've spent most of my career not being Latino enough to get booked for Latino shows and not Middle Eastern enough to get booked for those kind of shows. Yet somehow I managed to get on the Latin Lovers Show for Valentine's Day. So we'll see how that goes. I'll be on the road on Valentine's Day, and I won't be with my wife, and we'll see how that goes. I'm sure I'm going to pay for that in the long run, but I probably would have screwed up Valentine's Day some way anyway. I don't know. If you guys have any good Valentine's ideas for me, this will get posted up a week before that. Yeah, Valentine's Day is on Saturday. I don't know. Tweet at me, at NQF Pod, at Greg Asdourian on Twitter, or email me. Just go to gregasdourian.com, go to the NQF page. You can message me directly on there, or on Facebook. Facebook.com/NQFpod, or Facebook.com/GregAsdourian. Drop me a message. Let me know what you think I should do for Valentine's Day since I'm going to be on the road. And hell, you can tell me your own Valentine's Day stories. It'll be interesting. I'm interested. I want to hear what you guys do for that kind of thing. I'm not interested in the horror stories as much as I am in the good ideas, but actually, yeah, fuck it. Send me the horror stories. Those will be pretty good too. Happy Valentine's Day. I guess this is our Valentine's Day episode. Laurie Kilmartin. I love talking to her. I love listening to her stand up. I loved reading her book. Hopefully you guys will love hearing me talk to her. But yeah, we're sitting here in the green room at Cobb's Comedy Club.
I just did an armpit check, by the way.
Did you?
I could use some deodorant, but you know what? That's between shows. First show I'll have to suffer.
Fair enough. It's always that first row, they never know what they're in for. It's like, it depends on the act. Like, I was here with John Panette once, and just, you never know what's going to happen. It could be like a splash zone of sweat, because he just... hilarious guy, but I've never seen anybody who just sweated from the fohead like John Panette. Like, it was epic. Wow. Like, I did a lot of shows with him and just always just profusely sweating from the forehead.
But he was prepared for it. He brought blankets and things like that.
Yeah.
That's great.
He had that Dangerfield thing going where he had the towel on stage with him. He was just toweling down like a Baptist preacher. And now I realize that because I'm always in the suit and tie when I'm on stage, I'm that guy now. I'm just profusely sweating at the audience. But we're sitting here, Laurie Kilmartin. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Greg.
Yeah. Nice. I'm glad I was able to get you to sit down. And I feel like it's funny, for having grown up in the same area, we're never around each other because you're not in LA all the time. Yeah. And I feel like whenever you're in town, I'm always on the road. Is what it worked out.
Did I do like that gig in Walnut Creek?
Oh yeah. Oh, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, you're lucky I'm even talking to you.
Oh yeah, I know. I think I spent the better part of the last 2 years kissing your ass every time I saw you, just because of that show. And I'm still there. I still produce that show every week because my career is on fire.
I'm sure it does fine. I think it was this week too. It's Thanksgiving week.
Oh yeah. We don't do the show that night anymore.
The Wednesday before
not
Thanksgiving.
Worth it. Yeah, I think it was like. I think Ngaio Balaam wanted to do that date this year, and I'm just like, no, we're not doing a show. It just doesn't end well. He's like, well, I'm like, well, ask Laurie Kilmartin. Because what was that? It was like 3 years ago.
Ngaio's a lot more laid back than me, so maybe he wouldn't have been so angry on stage.
Well, I think more so what happened is that it wasn't our audience for the show. It was because it was just the night before Thanksgiving, so it's a towny bar for the most part. Mm-hmm. So like it was just full of locals that were just drunk and loud. So they overpowered the like 40 people that are there for my comedy show. Yeah, and I think it just happened. And I ended up finding it something interesting. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I found out the guy who got like drunk and like approached the stage was the parents of the owner of the venue.
The parents?
Or he was the father of the owners.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I found that out like later that night after you had left, and I'm like, this is all like I'm gonna show up at the Punchline on like Sunday night after this and find out that I'm like not allowed to perform anymore. Like I was just so terrified that you were just gonna have this like far reach that was just gonna destroy my reputation.
Greatly overestimated my power in the industry, as you'll see from all 3 downloads of this podcast.
I know I'm happy whenever someone who doesn't have my last name buys my album. I'm just grateful for that. But yeah, it's funny because you grew up in the East Bay, in Pleasant Hill, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So I was born in San Francisco, but I actually went to high school out in the East Bay in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah. And then I grew up on Walnut Creek, actually. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Where'd you go to high school?
Crondelet.
Okay, so you went. Okay. Yeah. Crondelet girls never talked to me when I was in high school.
I'm the first one, and
you might be.
I'm reporting to them about how it went.
It's nice to know the Crondelet girls finally came around.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I went to Pittsburgh High School, which is just the place De La Salle stole football players from.
Basically.
Yeah, that was
a movie about De La Salle football coming out soon.
Oh yeah, is it out already? I think.
I don't know. I saw the previews a while ago. Did it come and go?
It might have.
I hope so. That's all that school needs is to have like an Academy Award-winning movie about it.
Jesus, that's what I want to hear about. Is the difficulties of growing up in one of the most successful private schools in California.
Is it?
How hard it? Yeah. Oh yeah. They have the most successful football program.
That doesn't mean anything. It means they're diverting money from academics, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's they also poach like players from like every other school district in the area. Yeah. And, it's funny. I never did the private school thing. I never, probably because I grew up poor for the most part. I grew up in the Mission when I was really young, and then went to high school out in Pittsburgh, and
yeah. Come in.
Hi.
Cool. reader or listener,
Yes.
it's my hummus plate. Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much. I'll get it later.
That is the healthiest thing I've ever seen a comic order in the screen room, I think.
I'll do mac and cheese for the second show.
Okay, that works. That makes me feel better. I feel like you're showing off right now.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, that's so LA.
It's so chronolat.
But yeah, it's crazy. I feel like there's not a lot of comics that came out of the East Bay that are working still.
Yeah.
I feel like most guys that did in the East Bay were like hobby comics that kind of fizzled out after a while.
Johnny Steele.
Oh, that's true. Johnny Steele, yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of other East Bay people.
Yeah, I don't know any. Like,
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna sit down with Johnny soon because I'm gonna have him and Will and Larry sit down
cool.
about their
Oh,
movie.
great.
So I'm excited about that. It's nice because
Carlos Alazraki.
Oh,
He's from Concord.
Is he from Concord?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of local celebrities from the area. I think the chick that was the lead in Wicked, I found out recently, for whatever that's worth. But
Marquis
yeah.
Post from Night Court is also from Moraga, I think.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense. There's a through line to that.
Our legacy is pretty impressive.
It is. I look forward to bringing that down dramatically as my career continues to progress towards the middle. When did you start doing stand up? Like around like
87.
87?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not gonna do the math between
If the
that.
conversation goes that way, I'm gonna eat my hummus.
Okay, fair enough. No, like who was starting out about 87? So that was like Holy City Zoo time still.
Yes,
and,
Lincoln Earl, Margaret Cho, Greg Barrett, Tony Kameen, Dave Anthony, Ray James, Cody Blaine. I think he came back, but he and I were like really great friends. We used to carpool from Walnut Creek all the time. Laura Milligan, Karen Anderson, Siobhan Castile.
Okay. That's like a really nice like starting class.
It's a good
like,
crew. Yeah.
It's funny, like it added this weird legitimacy to my career. Is that my father, who was obsessed with comedy, which is kind of why I do it. He kind of raised me to want to be a comedian. He realized as I became an adult. He used to go watch shows like the Holy City Zoo and places like that. And then he'd watch guys like Pearl and Bubbles and like all these guys when they were starting out. And all of a sudden I'm doing shows and hanging out with Pearl and Bubbles and Johnny Steele. It added this weird legitimacy to my career, to my parents all of a sudden. Like, oh, these are the guys I've seen on stage before.
That's cool.
And we're all just slowly, I look forward to replacing them as the oldest living feature act. It's so you start out doing stand-up out like here in SF. And you did New York thing for a while too.
10 years. I lived in New York for 10 years.
Okay. Oof, man.
That's the thing I'm most proud of in my whole life is that I lived in New York City. I'm from Walnut Creek, and I lived in New York City for 10 years.
I just have the vision of the small town girl getting off the bus.
Completely.
In New York City.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
No, so like you started doing stand-up there. You did the New York thing for 10 years. And then, were you back in the Bay Area before that, or did you go straight to LA from New York?
Went to LA from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the LA thing, like, how soon did you go? Because I know you did like Kimmel and things like that. How soon did the like TV spots and things start kind of happening? Or?
They took a really long time. Everything takes a really long time with me. Nothing ever goes quickly. Ever. It's like, oh, okay. That's just my trajectory. It just takes for fucking ever. So I didn't get Kimmel till I was already writing on Tough Crowd, so that was like 2004, I think.
Okay.
And I'd done a couple little things on Comedy Central, like Premium Blend and stuff like that. Yeah, and then I did Conan, but I write on Conan, so I have easy access. And Last Comic Standing. That would be the thing people saw me on the most. The Last Comic.
I think that was the first season I watched, just because there were so many good comics. There were comics I like knew and respected were on that season. I think it was like that was the same season as Jackie, right? Jackie Cation was on that.
Was Jackie on that one? I don't know. I don't think so.
I must watch both of those seasons then. But I know it's like the season you were on, the season Jackie Cation was on. It was like, okay, these are good comics. That I know are doing
Greg Giraldo was hosting.
It added like
judging, and Annie Kindler and Natasha. So it was cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of good comics that added a lot of legitimacy to that show.
Yeah.
which I felt like when I first heard about it, I'm like, oh, this gives me a cattle call, and it's going to be just awful. It's going to be a lot of the actor types that do stand up to get discovered kind of a thing is what I expected it to be. No, they're actually really good, really original voices being shown on the show, which is hard. It's harder to be as original as a lot of the comics who were featured on the show are and still get mainstream like TV time.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about your act the most is that I don't think a lot of comics are as open about the inner monologue of a parent as you are. That's one of my favorite things about it. Like, I remember, this is funny, this is before I was married, when I was still dating my wife. I took her to see you at the Punchline, because I think she had read your book, she was a fan of your book. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know Laurie, but I didn't mention that, like, she probably hates me a little bit, so this could go either way.
I don't hate you a little bit.
I just, it was funny, like, yeah, that's okay. At least Bartnick likes me, though, so at least he said hi. But it was funny, like, or Jeff Samaria, who doesn't work at the Punchline anymore, but, like, or I called him, I said, hey, can you hang on to 2 tickets for me and my girl? I brought her there, and Jeff, like, went all out, because we'd been friends for a while. He, like, reserved a table up front, and just, like, had, like, let us cut in front of all the lines, and, like, just completely took care of us, made me look like a big shot at the Punchline, which is not true, by any stretch of the imagination. I think I rank about slightly above Cocktail Girl at the Punchline. Is about where I rank as far as show business goes.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Well, they should rank higher than comedians.
That's true.
In a way. But they're giving the audience more of what they want sometimes than comics are.
Well, it's funny to me, like all the stuff you do about, you know, raising a child and things like that. It's like you're not shy to say, like, every once in a while a parent has a horrible thought because it's just reality.
That you want to kill your child? Well,
not even that as much as it is just like you're completely aware of the absurdity of what you have to go through as a parent.
Sure.
And you're very unique in that way because not a lot of people do that. I can think of like maybe 3 other comics that are working consistently that are like that bold about it. Like, you know, like Kira Sultanovich. Like, she's great about that. And but it seems like most, especially a lot of comedians that are mothers, are really hesitant to talk about that stuff because I feel like there's this like cookie cutter vision of like, oh, a mom is always supposed to be loving and supportive, and like, no, we're still human beings, and like you kind of embrace that in a way that not a lot of other comics
There's
do.
not a lot of mother comedians, you know.
Yeah.
There aren't. I mean, a lot. I have friends that it kind of just dropped out. You know, it's so hard to do comedy after you have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I have a couple friends that just sort of, you know, they just do it sporadically when they feel like it. It's like, oh, if you're not all in, you're not in. You know. That's
the thing. That's what drives me nuts is that I'm trying to find the balance of like, how much can I start going on the road now? Because mine, he's 3 months. And I'm like, how can I go on the road and still be a good parent and not have him look at me like he doesn't know who I am? And
take him on the road.
I've thought about that, but like, there's my wife has like a real job and responsibilities and things like that, so that's always a difficulty. And
give her a week off.
That's true.
Take him on the road. This is what I would do. I would take my kid on the road. I didn't have a wife, so I took him on the road, and I would get a sitter to come to the hotel when I was on stage, and then I'd go back, and you know, it costs money, it costs sitter money, but you could do it.
I love it. Most male comedians are like trolling for posting on the internet in every town, and like, no, you're on care.com, and
it's something called Sitter City where you can get sitters in every city, but you could do it, and they give your wife a break. She might not want one yet. I don't know. 3 months, you're still bonding and stuff, but if you were a female comic, you'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. You know, guy comics have the luxury of most of the guy father comics have the luxury of a wife that will do the legwork at home.
Fair enough.
You know,
that's true. I
you could do it.
Yeah, we have the 3-month-old, and then we also have I have a 4-year-old stepson. Yeah. So it's like it was nice because when I got engaged, I was like, you know, I have a great relationship with my stepson, instant family, awesome. I got to skip all the baby stuff. Less than a month after we got married, I got her pregnant.
Nice.
Like, less than a month. Like, without any hesitation, just life threw that at us. And it's interesting because, like, I'm trying to... the thought of having the 4-year-old and the newborn on the road with me, that terrifies me. Plus, my wife is...
I haven't done that. That's tough.
Yeah. How old's yours now?
He's 8 now.
He's okay, so he's like a person almost, kind of.
Yeah.
So like there's reason and accountountability that you can throw into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I have this like little like the 3-month-old feels like this little like lump of Play-Doh that yells at me when I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Like I'm terrified that because I make stupid jokes about everything because I'm a comedian and that's how I deal with my insecurities as a parent. And I feel like I'm going to say that one thing that's going to turn my 3-month-old son into a degenerate, like, failure as an adult. Like, I'm just always terrified. I'm always overthinking what I'm saying. And that results...
You know they don't speak English yet, right?
I don't know. I realize that there's all this developmental stuff. My wife says that to me. She says that to, like, make me feel better. She's like, oh, you know, you're not going to... He can't understand what you're doing. He can't see you from 10 feet away. He can't see that you flipped off the TV or whatever. It's like... I don't know, I'm paranoid about it. I feel like I'm sitting around rethinking everything that my parents did that I remember and wondering where they fucked up, where I became a comedian.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure that out. Like, does that ever worry you with your kid? Like, has he seen your act at all?
No, he knows I perform and he knows I tell jokes and his dad's a comedian too, so his dad does it too. So it does worry me that he might think that's a viable way to, like, I'm trying to educate him and, you know, set him up to be like a scientist or something, you know, not a stand-up. But it would be so odd if he became one because he would be attracted to it for very different reasons than I was.
That's true.
Which was that I'd never heard of it before and no one in my world was doing it, and it was a way to completely say fuck you to everybody that loved me and everyone that was around me and my whole upbringing. Mm-hmm. So for him, if he's going to say fuck you to his upbringing, he would become an agent.
An accountant or something.
An agent.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Actually, yeah, no, I get what you mean. That's funny. The 4-year-old has no real concept of what it is. He knows that there are lots of pictures of me with a microphone, and he thinks I sing. And I'm like, okay with that. There's some legitimacy to that. I'm in a suit and tie and I'm singing. He can think I'm a croner of some kind. That's fine. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I started doing this, which I feel like is going to end poorly when the baby starts talking. Is that I'll rehearse jokes, like, cause I'm all my jokes are very like not timing sensitive because everybody's jokes are timing sensitive, but word placement sensitive. So I'm always repeating jokes all the time, and I do them while I'm holding the baby and things like that. And eventually, that baby is going to say something really, really inappropriate back to me as its first word.
Sure.
That's when my wife is just going to lose it. I guarantee it. My wife is very understanding. The fact that she's supportive of my career in any way, shape, or form is amazing to me. I picked her up at a show. I feel like if she
saw your act.
Oh yeah. If I hadn't killed on stage for like an hour before I approached her, she would have never even made eye contact with me. I guarantee.
Right.
My wife is a collection of too hot and too sophisticated for me. I have no illusions about that.
I don't know what's best, if they should see you at a show and then come to you. You know what? I don't know.
Does that happen? Because I feel like it's hit or miss with female comedians. Because like, I know like I'll have women hit on me after shows, which is crazy to me. Because like, if you talk to Greg at 17, like you told him that was going to happen, it wouldn't make sense to me at all. Mm-hmm. It still doesn't. Like, but I feel like because you have such a confident and strong kind of demeanor on stage, like it doesn't really happen for female comics.
No, people are terrified of me. It doesn't happen for me.
Fair enough. I mean, I can see it. Most insecure guys are intimidated by like a confident, powerful woman.
I don't even think you'd have to be insecure to be. I don't think a lot of female comics get reasonable dates afterwards. You know,
Fair enough.
It's just I don't think people can kind of can see that you'd be so different off stage than you are on stage. You know.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's not even an insecurity thing. It's you know. Like when my boyfriend saw my show, he was like, "What?" Because we'd met, you know, in person first. So
yeah, I feel like my act is like a personification of all my flaws, and so it's like most girls who would hit on me after a show, like when I was single, I'm just like, I don't know if you're attracted to everything I just laid out for the last hour. I don't know if I'm like you clearly have like a damaged goods thing on you going for you. I don't know if that would just.
I think most people don't know what's true and what's not. I don't think they care. I really do. I think they just like, they'll go, I don't know, do you have a kid? You said in your act. I would make up a kid. Like, they really don't know what's a joke and what's not.
Yeah.
It's funny how off they are.
God, I wish I had to make up my shortcomings and failures to talk about on stage. All of mine are completely legit. That'd be a nice problem to have. It's funny, my wife, because she went through all the parental stuff already, so she has like a black belt in all this. Mm-hmm. And I feel she'll get like.
I'm gonna eat a little bit. I'm gonna have a bite.
Go ahead.
I'm starving. Okay, keep going. I'm with you.
Well, what's funny is what'll end up happening is she'll get frustrated with me because I have no idea how to be like a parent. Like, I'm still figuring that all out through like, just through experimentation and all that. And she'll be like, you don't know how to put a diaper on properly. I'm just like, no, I don't. That was never a merit badge I had to get as a Boy Scout or anything like that.
Well, who knows how to do that until they have to?
I can't.
Only a creep would know how to put on a diaper if they weren't a parent.
Yeah, like, what's funny is that I had a job where I worked with kids when I was younger, but it was like in such an abstract capacity. Like, I was a baby photographer.
So you're a creep.
Yes, completely and utterly. That goes without saying. And that's what, just creepy, sweating profusely on stage. That's what my act is all about. I'm just a bundle of awkwardness. But it's funny, like I was a baby photographer for like, children like newborns to like 5. And so I had all these like weird skills where I know how to make a baby laugh, I know how to make a baby smile, but that's it. Like, so people would just expect me to instantly be really good with children, and I'm not. The 4-year-old is great because we have all the same interests still. Having him has allowed me to have way more Batman shit in my life, which is really great.
That's important for a male comic.
It is. It's liberating as an adult to have an excuse like that.
Yeah.
But what's funny is, like, kind of like what your family's setup is that my family's interracial too, like a really unique combination. Because like I'm weird enough on my own because I'm Salvadorian and Armenian, and now I have this cartoonishly white stepson, who looks like a Captain America action figure, and my wife is blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and now we have this newborn who looks more like me, slightly darker features, darker hair. So now I just have these 2 dramatically different looking children in my backseat all the time, and the fear of getting Amber Alerted just rules my world.
Right.
Like, I love your joke about being in Arizona and telling the woman you're his nanny.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts of your act, and just, like, it's very true. Like, the weird looks that, like, my parents get, like, when they're alone with the kids. They'll be at, like, Costco or the mall or something like that, and people just give them dirty looks, like, not understanding what's going on. Cause,
really?
Yeah, because my stepson cartoonishly white. Like, and so my father grew up in Beirut. My mother's from El Salvador. They both are clearly not white, so it just doesn't make sense, and just causes all these people to have this little schism in their brain. They just can't wrap their head around it, especially in like Walnut Creek, like around like Broadway Plaza, that area. Like, they just don't get it. It entertains me a great deal.
Broadway Plaza. Yes, it's a tough one.
Oh, well, do you still have to deal with that a little bit? Because in LA, it's like there's a lot more of especially the Latino interracial like mixing. I feel like that's not as big a thing now.
Yeah, I don't sense it, excuse me, that much now. My son is with his babysitter so much that people are surprised I'm his mom, but that's because the babysitter's with him all the time. No. Yeah. I'm like, no, there's another lady in his life too. But yeah, I don't know, I don't sense that as much anymore, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide like how, if I want to push, because I want the kids to be bilingual. And my stepson, is very enamored with learning how to speak Spanish because his grandmother is always speaking to him in Spanish, and he doesn't know how to respond. Oh, yeah. And she's convinced that he's being rude, and I'm like, no, Mom, you're speaking to him in a language he doesn't understand yet. It's interesting for her. She doesn't get that. And same thing, like my father will start teaching him all these little Armenian words to say that he says wrong to begin with because he's 4, and then on top of it, it's a different language. So it's really interesting. Like I have this little blonde-haired, blue-eyed 4-year-old saying Spanish and Armenian words poorly to me.
Those are both really useful languages in Southern California.
They are tremendously useful languages in Southern California.
Do they have immersion schools up here?
They do. My wife is like thinking about like doing the Chinese or something like that.
Don't, because unless you speak Chinese, when you start getting homework, it's horrible. I mean, they teach Common Core. Okay. Which Common Core is difficult anyway. It's just very different from how we were raised, and they teach it in a foreign language. So if it's Chinese, you can't learn it fast enough to keep up. I'm having a hard time in Spanish, and I took Spanish in high school, but it's difficult. I always say go with the language one of you speaks or knows a little bit. Yeah, I'm the only one who speaks. My wife speaks German a little bit. But yeah, I speak Armenian and Spanish, and because it's weird, like my mother always speaks to me in Spanish, and my Armenian grandparents lived with us when I was growing up, so I just would have I still have dreams in like 3 different languages at once all the time, and it's really odd. But yeah, it's already like screwed because like I've got 2 kids, and as soon as they're past 2nd grade, I'm not gonna be able to help them with any of their homework. I'm a comedian. I've been doing stand-up for the last 11 years, and I have a degree in performance theater. I have nothing to offer them as, like, in any way, shape, or form as any kind of adult or guide when it comes to their education. That homework's a bitch, man. It's horrible. I don't know. Part of me feels like I'm always gonna, I'm gonna get to the point where I have no say in what they choose to do as adults. Yeah. Because, like, really, Dad, you're an overweight comedian. I'm like, touche. You know, I can't, like... In all of your scenarios, your family is doubting what you do, doubting... It's like, they're going to say that to you? I don't think so. I feel like you're learning a lot about my subconscious, they're incredulous at anything you do. Well, I've spent my entire adult life failing upwards, is what it's all about. So I think, like, whatever something... my wife is ridiculously supportive to the point where I don't even know how to respond to that. I've had too many people telling me that I'm going to be a screw-up my whole life. Because I know your parents were, they're both really conservative, from what I understand, right? Politically, yeah. Yeah. How'd they feel about the stand-up thing when you started doing that? They thought it was really cool. Really? Yeah. Nice. Did you ever do any kind of performance stuff when you were younger before that? Just little stuff in high school. Nothing big. I wanted to be an actress, but I never pursued it because I was swimming, so that took up a lot of my time. Okay. But my dad thought it was great. He'd go on the road with me all the time. He loved it. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I've done that with my dad. I've taken him on travel runs and stuff with me a couple times, and like, it's interesting. Like we'll plan like a little like trip around it. Like we'll go to the fucking Winners Casino in Winnemucca, Nevada, and then we'll go spend a weekend in Reno or something. Yeah. I can't believe it's still doing... Oh, my God. What night? Oh, it's Thursday night still. It's been Thursday for like 5 years now, I think. But it's worse now. Have you been there in the last few years? No. Okay. Of course not. Your headlining comes for a weekend. I would love to go back to Winnemucca, though. Yeah, it's nice. It's humble. It's a nice little reminder of, like, what comedy can be when you need it to be. But the showroom that you're in, using showroom as liberally as possible, they took the walls away. So you see the casino at all times. Oh, man. So you're seeing blinking lights and shit, like, and behind you, behind the stage is all mirrors, so they're seeing blinking lights and shit behind you as well. Oh my God! It's like it's such a clusterfuck. And you're staying in the club, right? Oh yeah. In the casino, yeah. With which still has actual keys, which entertains me. I feel like I'm gonna get killed by Norman Bates in the shower every time I'm there. I think the last time I did it was with Jim Short. Nice. Maybe. Man, that was a long time ago. Yeah. Is there anybody you're traveling with consistently right now? No. I don't go on the road enough to have like a regular feature with me or anything. And usually, most towns have a lot of their own features. Yeah, I think unless you have a very particular act, like a Gaffigan or something, where you're super specific about what you want in front of you. You kind of rely on the local. There's so many great little comedy markets now, like so many really like medium-sized towns have really, really funny comedians. Yeah, there's a surprisingly large amount of like little scenes that are growing. Yeah, which never used to be the case. It would be like, if you're doing some random gig in the Midwest, like outside of any of the few big cities, it's like
it's just it's like, okay, this is Mike. He normally runs karaoke. He's gonna open for you tonight.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. Yeah, no, it's.
How do you make a living as a feature? I don't know how people do that now.
Well, you know, I feature. I'm a club feature, but everywhere but my home clubs, oddly enough. And
no, that's the way it always is.
Yeah, and but I also book lots of stuff on my own as a headliner.
That's great.
Like I headline, you know, maybe like I don't know, maybe a dozen shows a month, like one-nighters and stuff like that, and. You know, I made a nice little living for myself. Now that I have 2 children to like take care of, I'm very grateful that my wife is a functioning human being.
Yeah.
Because she actually has a real job and things like that.
What's her job?
She's an attorney.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I completely no business being married to me whatsoever.
We get it, Greg.
Yeah, I know.
We get it.
Yeah, I know. I suck. We're on the same page.
No, we get it.
But my wife is an attorney, and my wife she impressed me a great deal because she does family law, but she likes to specialize in cases of abuse. She's like a little superhero. She likes punishing people who hurt people.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really insane.
That's really cool.
Every scummy thing you've ever heard about lawyers and like pop culture, it's all true. It turns out every person I've had to meet that she like works with. The worst human beings I've ever met in my life. Like, they have no moral compass at all. And I can't believe my wife is, like, a good person. She's this, like, diamond in the rough of, like, terrible people. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I can't believe that world hasn't just completely destroyed her. Like, the same way she looks at me in stand-up and can't believe that I'm not, like, you know, doing drugs and an alcoholic and all these things like that. Because there are very few comedians that are going to ever...
you sound made for each other.
We are. And I remind her that every time she gets angry at me. I'm just like, remember, you chose this. You could have said no.
That's a good way to handle it.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, there are very few comedians that'll probably ever be allowed to meet my children. I feel like that's a good way to go for the most part. Most comedians I know, they're nice enough guys, but they're absolute fuck-ups in so many ways that, like, these aren't examples I want around my kids for the most part. Mm-hmm. You know? Like, it's still, like, I know, I've heard you talk about this before, is that you, sometimes your kid will hang out at, like, green rooms and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And, like, that terrifies me. I don't know if I could do it. Like, I've been offered, like, pot and cocaine in too many, like, comedy club green rooms.
I haven't. I mean, you know, Flappers, Flappers is...
That place is pretty harmless, yeah.
I wouldn't bring him to a place where I thought that would happen, you know? But, yeah, that hasn't happened. One time I brought him to... I had a gig in Nevada, some little town in Nevada, I forget, near Los Angeles, near Las Vegas, and I was supposed to pick up a sitter who was going to drive with us like a teenager, you know, and she got the time wrong, and she wasn't there, so I had to go with my kid, and he was like 4 or 5, and so I just had him sit backstage with my iPhone, I think at the time, and just I was like, please be good. Please. And he was just off stage, and I had, you know, there's like a sound guy, and I go, just don't let him wander away. And I could see him through the wings, but he wasn't paying attention to me because, he never got to play on the iPhone, so I was like, oh my god. But that was really insane, you know.
Yeah, my wife was coming, because my wife goes to a lot of my shows, and she was coming to them up until, like, the due date. So she was just locked and loaded, like, 9 months, and she'd still be in the crowd, and that was just so nerve-wracking for that last, like, 2 weeks. Because, like, I'm just afraid she's going to pop on stage. Like, and that was her goal. She wanted to go into labor at one of my shows so badly.
Crazy.
And what's funny is that what ended up happening is I ended up delivering the kid. That happened.
Oh, neat.
I talked about this in the podcast. She went into labor at like 5 a.m. and she was only in labor for 17 minutes. That baby came out 4 minutes before the paramedics got there.
Wow, that's a nice labor.
Yeah, it's my stepson was only like 45 minutes or something like that.
How big was the baby?
7.5 pounds, I think. Like that.
That's regular size.
Yeah, it wasn't which is amazing. Everyone's just like, really? Greg is already a kid that small? Was the general consensus. It's amazing. It's like when you post something good that happens in your life on Facebook, it's like a passive-aggressive Olympics for like who can make the most passive-aggressive statement out of all the comedians you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's always interesting. Yeah, it's... man, I'm terrified of that idea. The idea of like having the kids on the road with me and having them, for lack of a better term, having the craziness of the world we live in be brought to light in their eyes. That like always weirds me out because I feel like I'm a professional. I've been doing this a long time. I can support myself, but it's still this really cartoonishly absurd world that we live in as comedians, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's a weird like air of legitimacy to my family that I don't want to lose if they see what it's actually like just hanging out at comedy clubs and things like that. I don't know. That's just probably just me and my weird paranoid thinking.
I don't think of it as cartoonishly absurd. You know?
Maybe that's the.
It's a nightclub. You work in bars. You work in nightclubs.
Yeah.
Is that absurd?
I don't know.
It's odd. It's not how you were raised, but it's it's what you do.
That is true. My parents were really pretty conservative all around. Like my mother's hyper religious, so she's always like she's supportive enough. Like she doesn't tell me to like find another career or anything like that, but she's always commenting on the things I talk about on stage, and she tells me like she says if you keep talking like this you're gonna go to hell, and I always tell her, well, if I'm right or if you're right and I'm wrong, then you win, I go to hell, and that's not the argument she wants to have either. So
You got her.
yeah, I recently had the conversation about baptism with the kid, about how the kids aren't going to get baptized, and my mother just completely shit a brick about that. Like, that was the one. Like, she's really aware of how very liberal me and my wife were raising our children as far as like, how we discipline them and things like that. It's very different from the way my parents brought me up. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That's when it finally turned into a fight. Is about the baptism thing. Like your parents weren't religious at all, or?
Yeah, Catholic. Yeah.
Okay, so was that a big thing? Did they have you baptize your son, or?
I didn't baptize him. I don't think they were shocked at that point. I've been basically an atheist or at least an agnostic, and not going to church for a long time. So I think that they were just relieved I didn't abort him. Like you got it. You got a baby. Just shut up now.
Was it? So how old was he when you started doing got the Conan spot and all that?
4.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
So how long? So he's 8 now. So you've been writing for Conan for 4 years now. Nice. That's great. Yeah. That show is great. I think it's probably the best thing on late night right now.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's, of course I'm going to say that, but we have a ton of written comedy in our show, and I think we have more than the other late night shows. We have a lot more sketches and stuff that's written. Yeah,
I think Conan across the board for the last 20 years or whatever that he's been on TV. It's like that's always been the thing, and it's really nice that stayed consistent with all the moves and everything like that. Because who else is on the writing staff right now?
There's about 13 people on it.
Okay, so it's pretty big. Yeah, that's. It always interests me like the whole writers' room thing, because I always feel like too many freaks end up screwing up the soup, for lack of a better term. Is there any like conflict in the writers' room ever at all, or?
Not real conflict.
Like creatively, I mean.
No, I think we just all. I mean, I'm on the monologue side, so we're sort of in a different world. But I think the sketch guys are they're all trying to find the funniest beats, So I don't think there's like crazy disagreements on stuff,
So like it basically
they'll talk stuff out, and then everyone when they get to something where almost everyone's laughing, then it's like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I've never had the chance to do that. To like, I've always written for my own comedic voice. The idea of writing for someone else's sensibilities is interesting to me. Like, because you've written for other stuff before this, but was this your first time writing monologue, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so because you did Tough Crowd, but that was. It's interesting because that show wasn't written so much as organized.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd write sketches for Tough Crowd too, but the fans hated sketches. They just wanted Patrice to talk.
Yeah, fair enough.
Norton, so we were always trying to figure out ways where they could be themselves, but it wouldn't be just them sitting at the table again. So that was less written. Yeah, writing for Conan is the most writing I've ever done in my entire life.
Like, what's on that? Like, I imagine you have a certain amount of jokes you have to hit.
No one counts. You just... No, it's, you just keep writing. There's no accounting, though.
Yeah, I've never had a formal writing job like that. Like, I've done, less formal stuff. Like, I've never done anything for TV, but for other writing, other kind of writing stuff, like joke writing. But, like, I'd imagine there's got to be some kind of structure to it as far as, like, because there's got to be something you have to produce a certain amount or something like that. Like, I don't feel
a certain amount. No, we have a structure of when we turn jokes in, and then he goes over them, and then we do more batches and stuff like that. And yeah, but it's all written, submitted blindly, so
Is it competitive at all?
Not super competitive. It's it's always annoying when you're really close on a joke and somebody else's wording is a little better, and you're like, fuck, of course that's the way to do it, But it's more of you were better than me, damn it. But it's not like, no, it's not super competitive like that. Yeah.
Because I know how weird and competitive comics can be just in normal comedy circumstances, let alone in, like, a writer's room or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty not that way. I don't think that helps sometimes,
Oh, yeah, not at all. I think...
spend a lot of time being paranoid, then you're not writing good stuff.
Yeah, that's why I hate the idea of comedy competitions and things like that for the most part. It's just like, well, really? We're going to make this more competitive for no reason whatsoever? Yeah, I haven't done one of those in a long time. It's like... That's why I don't work clubs like Rooster Teeth Feathers, because I refuse to do their competition. That's the only way to get in there. And,
oh, really?
Yeah.
I do think competitions when you're younger and your comedy years are good because they help you perform under pressure, and they help you do like a tight 3, a tight 5, the kind of comedy time you're going to be doing on a late night set. So I think there's some value in doing that and just getting really sharp there, but in terms of winning or losing and stuff, it's yeah, I
just feel like at this point I'm going to lose to some newbie who's brought like 40 friends to some
that stuff is
I just don't I don't have the patience for it. Like, I'd rather use the promotional power I have to get people out to a real show. Like, I'm terrified. I'm headlining the Knitting Factory in Reno in like 2 weeks, and I've never done that venue, and it's huge, and I have no idea how I'm going to get tickets at that place.
Cool.
December 12th for all of you listening out there in Reno area. I think I can get like a good amount of people for like a comedy club in Reno, and I've done that before pretty consistently. But this is like a 1,300 person house or something like that. Like, I have no business headlining this venue. Like, I don't.
Why are you doing it then?
They booked me for it. They asked me, and I told them that, like, going into it, I'm just like, I don't think I can get you guys good numbers. Like, well, honestly, for the one-nighters, for the comics, we're not worried about huge numbers.
Oh, yeah?
We have a hole in our calendar and making some money.
Better than none?
Yeah. It's like Slipknot is there like a month before.
Oh, really?
Like, it's such a...
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a weird venue for me, but, like, I love doing casino shows. It's a really, like, kind of perfect environment for me. I love doing Nevada stuff in general because I can smoke a cigar on stage, which is really great. Every time I light a cigar outside of the Punchline or Cobb's in San Francisco, everyone looks at me like I just kicked a puppy. Like, it's just this hateful look, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
This is like this is awful for my own body. What makes you think I care about anyone around me?
Right. I don't think they're worse than cigarettes, though, right? How they're bad for you?
Yes and no.
They're less addictive. It's not like you're going to smoke like 20 of them in a day, right?
Yeah, I smoke them because I enjoy them. I usually smoke them before a show. It's like my little mental, like, health thing I do before I go on stage. It helps me relax and focus. And and every other comic I see is smoking a pack of cigarettes. Every open mic we go to, and I'm just like, no, I'm gonna have one cigar tonight, and then I'm good. But I haven't been smoking as much because the rule is that I can't go to bed smelling like a cigar. Oh yeah. Because then I can't touch the baby.
Yeah.
So I'm picking and choosing the nights, and like I always have to make sure I'm like I have to make sure none of the clothes stink, anything like that. So it's like I feel like I'm hiding cigarettes from my parents again. Yeah. In high school. But I don't know what I just. It's really nice that I got to sit down with you because for what it's worth, you're a comedian I've always respected tremendously.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
I enjoy your act a great deal, always have. And everyone who gets the chance to see you should. I know this won't go up before this weekend is over, but do you have any other dates you want to plug? This will go up in about a week.
I'll be in Atlanta the 19th, 20th, and 21st of December at the Laughing Skull.
Oh, I love that place.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful club.
Yeah.
Nice. And what's the album called again?
I have an album called 5 Minutes to Myself, but it's really old. And then I have a special that I shot that I'm going to hopefully get released soon called 45 Jokes About My Dead Dad.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I heard about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's something into the live tweets about your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to bug you and have you come on here again later on and talk to you about that. I feel like I spent this entire 40 minutes complaining about how I'm figuring out how to be a parent.
You kind of did.
So.
I was like, oh, I have time to eat. Good,
Yeah.
I'm starving.
Yeah. It's generally comedians I've noticed, even the ones that are friends of mine, don't really care that much about hearing about my kids. So, thank you for humoring me.
Sure.
No, but this was a lot of fun. Thanks for sitting on, Laurie.
Sure, thanks, Greg.
So that was Laurie Kilmartin, guys. Yeah, that was her. The long-awaited episode with Laurie Kilmartin. I'm so sorry it took so long for this new episode to come out. It was a great episode of hearing me figure out how to be a parent. That's pretty much what most of that hour ended up becoming. Laurie is amazing, super talented. She's still one of the funniest comics working. Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn, Last Comic Standing. She's writing on Conan now. She is truly a comedic force to be reckoned with. She was amazing at Cobb's that weekend, but she's also amazing always. I'll check her out live when you can. Also check out her book, Shitty Mom, which we didn't really get to talk about much. Also, her special, which will be coming out, 45 Jokes About My Dead Dad. Should definitely check that out. If you missed her live tweeting her father's death, as weird as that is to say out loud, it was kind of amazing. I don't know many people that can take a dark moment in your personal history like that and just so effectively find the humor in it. It's kind of amazing. I can't even imagine pulling off something like that on stage, let alone live tweeting it. I've got a ton of dates coming up. Please check out my calendar, gregasdourian.com. Upcoming dates are Valentine's Day, February 14th. I will be in Riverbank, California. You can find details for that show. If you don't have Valentine's Day plans yet, come on out. Take the ladies, get some laughs. Or if you're alone on Valentine's Day, come out, have a good time, get distracted from the fact that you're a lonely, lonely man. Riverbank, California, in the Central Valley. Also, I will be at the Black Oak Casino March 12th. That's coming up. I haven't been to the Black Oak Casino in years. It's a great venue. It's a great place. I love doing casino shows, as I said on this episode even. I love doing casino shows, and I had a great story happen to me last time I was at the Black Oak Casino. I was there a few years ago. I was the host for Rebecca Corey, and they have a really awkward setup. Not awkward, but a really unique setup there. They have the stage where bands and comics play, and then the green room is off to the right of the stage. And if you have to go through the audience to get to the green room. So it's pretty much once you go to the green room, you're stuck in there once the show starts. Now, I'm the MC. I do my 20 minutes at the top. I get off stage, and apparently the way the lights are shining on the stage, the steps to get off look 4 feet wider than they actually were. So I just step off the stage and fall 4 feet into nothing, land on my ankles, end up screwing up a tendon in my ankle. I'm in pain. I get up and I hobble into the green room after I had brought up the feature act. And I'm just in this green room in pain, in agony. And they send the paramedics that work at the casino in to come check me out. And they come look at me oh, we need to take you to the infirmary. So they take me to this infirmary they have at the casino. I'm back there. The EMT that works there is checking me out. They end up wrapping up my ankle, and making sure I'm okay and all this stuff like that. And I get taken back to the green room. This is all through the audience, by the way. When they take me from the green room to the infirmary, they have to walk me through the audience during the feature set. And during his set, they check me out, wrap up my ankle, and I go back out. I hobble back on stage to bring up Rebecca Corey, the headliner, and then I limp back off the stage, back into the green room, and I'm just in pain, and I get a round of applause from the audience as they see me hobbling back, and I'm just in agony, absolute agony, in this green room for the rest of the show, for the rest of Rebecca Corey's set, and I'm just, oh my god, I'm in so much pain. And they come back, they were being so nice to me and so generous and taking care of me backstage, and I realize now in retrospect, because I was just a young, fresh-faced MC on the road still, I had no idea, I had no concept of what was going on around me. They really just didn't want me to sue them. I probably could have sued the crap out of the Blackout Casino if I wanted to, but why risk not getting booked by a venue again, I guess. That was kind of my mentality. I had no idea that how badly I could have sued that hotel probably for hurting myself. But, all's well that ends well, I guess. They were super nice to me. They even added more money to my check for the show because they were just so terrified that I was going to sue them, I'm pretty sure. And I haven't been there since. That was years ago. And this will be my first time coming back to the Blackout Casino. I'll be there with my good friend Phil Johnson, hilarious comedian, who actually I'm going to sit down and have on here at some point soon. But yeah, it's so funny. I haven't done the Blackout Casino in years, and a good friend of mine, a comic named Max Curry, went and worked down there maybe a month and a half, 2 months later, and apparently now, because of me, they give the comedians and performers a safety speech about the stage before they do the show. That's my legacy on the Blackout Casino in Sonora, California. Yeah, thanks to me, a safety speech to make sure no dumbass comedians hurt themselves the way I did. So if you want to come see if I'm going to hurt myself again, come to the Blackout Casino March 12th. That is the Blackout Casino in Sonora, California. All my Central Valley people, I've had so many shows in the Central Valley. I was just in Turlock last week. That was nuts. It was great. I love that venue. It was the Vintage Lounge Piano Bar in Turlock, California. The crowd was amazing. They were great. I cannot wait to come back. Again, Riverbank, California. That's not far away from there. I'll be there on Valentine's Day on the 14th. And then Sonora, the Blackout Casino, March 12th. I'll be there. You should be there too if you're nearby. Yeah, that's it for this episode. Again, check out Laurie Kilmartin, Kilmartin.com. Find her on Twitter at AnyLaurie16. Follow me on Twitter at Greg Asdourian on the Twitters. Also follow the podcast, NQF Pod, at NQF Pod on Twitter. Follow us there, or on Facebook, facebook.com/Greg Asdourian, or facebook.com/NQF Pod. Find all your podcast needs on there. Also at GregAsdourian.com. All the podcast stuff and all my comedy stuff up on there. Please check it out. If you have listened to the back episodes and you liked them, just please give us a review on iTunes. Go on iTunes. It just takes all of 2 seconds. Give us a 5-star review, or however many stars you think is appropriate, unless it's less than 3, and then you can just fuck off. But please, go on iTunes. Give us those reviews. They help out so much. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Again, sorry it took me so long to get this episode out. The beginning of 2015 has been insane for me in a great way. So please, please, please go back, listen to the old episodes if you like them. And yeah, these ones will be coming out once a week, once again. So sorry about the wait, and I'm glad you guys stayed tuned.